Well, Volodymyr Zelensky also met with Joe Biden this Friday. The U.S. president apologized for the months-long holdup in approving aid and announced a new $225 million for Ukraine. Joe Biden is now headed back to Normandy for another day of World War II commemorations. Biden will be delivering a speech in defense of American democracy from the Pointe du Hoc, a legendary spot along the coast where U.S. Army Rangers scaled cliffs during the D-Day invasion. It's an echo of the symbolism used by his Republican predecessor, Ronald Reagan, who also gave a D-Day speech there in 1984. Well, for more, we can cross now to France 24's Kethevane Gorjestani, our former Washington correspondent, who's traveling with Joe Biden. Kethevane, this speech is highly symbolic. What are we expecting?
Well, you mentioned the symbolism of this location and the fact that 40 years ago it was Ronald Reagan, also in a re-election year, that gave a speech here, probably one of the best and most iconic speeches of Ronald Reagan, perhaps maybe on the top list of presidential addresses by a U.S. president abroad. The symbolism and the topics are also going to have a symmetry with what Ronald Reagan said 40 years ago. This talk about, for example, isolationism not being an answer to tyranny. These are words that Joe Biden himself already said yesterday at a ceremony at the U.S. cemetery before the international ceremony, and he is expected to repeat something along these lines. This talk about reinforcing the alliances, talking about the importance of these alliances between the United States and Europe, of course, but more broadly of the NATO alliance. Of course, the resonance being what is happening right now in Europe with this war in Ukraine, with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The question is going to be how subtle the hint at what is going on in Ukraine will be, whether he will be spelling out the Russian invasion or not. There's also likely going to be a political message, because let's remember that the U.S. elections are just 5 months away, and this is yet another opportunity for Joe Biden here in France to sort of distinguish himself from his opponent, Donald Trump, talking, of course, about these alliances against a candidate who has often questioned the need and the importance and the relevancy of these alliances, talking about how these alliances are not only good for democracies around the world, but important for the security of America itself. So expect some political messages to come through at this speech, but also overall it's going to be likely a moving speech because of the location, because of the history of those young American men climbing those cliffs to come and take out some German positions, being part of this broader U.S. help to liberate France and the rest of Europe.